You know that tune on our early coffee segment this morning. We're traveling back in time to one of the most popular sitcoms of the 1960s, My Three Sons. The series aired on both CBS and ABC, and it starred Fred MacMurray as a widower trying to raise his three young sons with a little help from Uncle Charlie.
And then these two guys heard what you said. They said Ernie was a second-hand kid.
I'm not a second-hand kid. Am I, Uncle Charlie?
You're the finest little knothead I've ever seen.
Hey, no kidding.
No kidding.
And as Uncle Charlie, William Demarest. Remember that? Barry Livingston played MacMurray's youngest son, Ernie, and he just wrote a book called The Importance of Being Ernie, From My Three Sons to Mad Men, a Hollywood survivor tells all. Barry, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much, and I love the haircut that I had in those.
You like that?
That boy, you know, it's like Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber.
you got the gig in 1963, right? You were 10 years old?
Yeah, I was 10
at the time.
Yeah.
How did you get the job?
Well, my brother Stan was also on My Three Sons. He played Chip, you know, and I kept following him from series to series. He was on the Ozzie and Harriet show prior to My Three Sons. When he left to go on to My Three Sons, then I kind of stepped into his position as the friend that would go with Ozzie to the malt shop and hang out with Oz. And then when Tim Considine, who was the original son, Mike, left the show, I was already on My Three Sons then as a recurring character doing a few episodes. And then I was, you know, again, I was like the pitcher in the bullpen. And I was waiting for that call, and I got it and came to the big leagues.
What is that like, being a kid on a hit show like that, with your friends, with folks at school? Were you the cool man on campus?
No, I was the nerd on campus. I was quite the prototype nerd, actually. It was interesting, you know, when you're famous and you're with a bunch of teenagers. It's a double-edged sword, you know. They don't know how to react to you because they can be your best friend, and as a kid, you don't know whether people are being friends with you because they like you as a person or because they're fascinated because you're famous. So, you know, I didn't have a posse or anything like that. I wasn't hitting the club scene, you know.
You weren't doing that.
No.
You know, we saw Fred MacMurray there in a clip. I remember my grandmother used to say that Fred MacMurray is a great actor, and he's such a nice guy. You worked with Fred MacMurray. What was he like?
He was a truly nice man. I mean, he really was, and he became being Steve Douglas became his life. And in fact, there was an odd crossover for him in his film career where he was playing a bad guy when he did The Apartment with Billy Wilder, and he was a real cad in that. And he went to Disneyland one time, and a woman recognized him as Steve, as Dad on My Three Sons, but she also saw The Apartment, where he was a real cad. And she came up and hit him over the head with her purse, and she said, "You know, laid into him, and you're Dad, you're Steve Douglas. Why? How could you be so mean to Jack Lemmon?" And you know, and he was like, and he said, "I'll never do a part like that again. I'll never be a bad guy."
That's something. You talk about this in the book. What's it like being this child star? You're this cute kid. You grow up. My Three Sons eventually goes off the air. As an actor, did life get tough for a bit after that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was right afterwards. I worked quite a bit. I worked on Broadway here, came to New York. I really wanted to become, you know, a legitimate, serious actor. You know, probably in my late 20s is when things started to slow for me, and yeah, you know, I became probably a little more obsessed with the party scene, probably filling a void that being famous and having that no longer in your life, that creates kind of a schism, and I wasn't sure where I was going with my life at that point. Although I loved acting, I knew I wanted to be an actor, but sure, you know, there were some trying times. You know?
And folks now can see you a recurring character on Mad Men.
I was on Mad Men.
The Social Network as well?
Right. Yeah, I just finished a film with Ben Affleck that's actually in production now called Argo. It'll be out next year. Yeah, things have been great. It's been really good.
We always ask folks in these early coffee segments, if you could have coffee with anyone, living or dead, who would that be with?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp?
I just admire him. I like the way he conducts himself. I like the way he handles his fame. I think he's one of the finest actors that we have seen in so long, and I would love to work with him, love to meet him.
High praise from Ernie Douglas, Barry Livingston.
Well, the importance of being Ernie. Here we are, you know. It's out right now. Thank you very much.
And it's good stuff. A lot of stuff about being a child actor in there, a lot of stuff about Fred MacMurray we didn't get a chance to get to today. And Uncle Charlie and Bub, William Frawley, who played
Fred Mertz.
Fred Mertz, exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Barry, thank you.
Russ,
again.
thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.